Hello friends, it's Naomi, food and health coach. This is part 2 because the first time my audio went out, so we're trying this again super quick. Anyway, I was just saying that I had a very rough day today. Well, not rough, but it just did not go as planned at all. Hi friend, let me know if you can hear me now. It just didn't go as planned. And in the past, a day like today would have been something that really spun me out, like real bad. I would have probably been crying in the street. However, because of all of the work I've been doing, woohoo, you can hear me, yay! If something is up, let me know. Because of all the work I've been doing in like the past almost 3 years, I was able to catch my thoughts, pivot on things that came up in my day, emotionally regulate, and eventually eat for comfort, which I was like, hell yes, I need this freaking waffle right now. All right. And that is okay. Sometimes I feel like a lot of people feel guilty sometimes when they're like, oh, I just need comfort, but I can't lean on food. Sometimes you lean on food and that's okay. I think that where it comes in is that if that's your only coping mechanism, but I love to have like a toolbox, a tool bag in my brain of stress management tools. And one of them can definitely be every once in a while, well, you just need a damn treat, right? Okay, so the plan for my day was to take my kids to school and come back and work out. I haven't been able to work out just for me. It's been in groups or it's been walking, like running crazy amount of errands. And usually working out for me in my space or at the gym is really meditative and it's time for myself. And I haven't been able to do that for a while. So I'm going to be honest. I'm getting quite cranky. All right. I'm getting quite cranky because I really need this time for myself. So because my morning was kind of empty, I was like, okay, well, I'll just take my kids to school and then I'll come back home. That did not happen because my kids were not feeling so fabulous. So they were not staying in after school, and I had a client call in the afternoon. So that meant that I was going to stay in the area where their school was in order for me to be able to pick them up on time. Now, I said, all right, okay, I'm not getting to do this in the morning, but I'll be coming home earlier than usual, so I'll do it in the afternoon. If I tell y'all what happened, okay? So I did work from a cafe, no problem, right? And then I got some things for dinner. So now I have my backpack with my laptop and notebooks and rain equipment when it didn't even end up raining in New York City. I have groceries with me. I get 2 calls from the nurse telling me that my kids were not feeling well. And at the end of the day, my oldest son had a fever. So I was like, okay, well, this changes things. I went to go pick them up. I took him to urgent care. Thankfully, he's fine. He has a cold. That's what's going on with him. And we were going home, right? So as you can see, my day is not going too good. We get on the train. We get stuck on the train for 20 minutes underground, no service, because there are signal issues. Okay. I live in the Bronx. All right. Like not like at the freaking end of the Bronx near Westchester. All right. And we're on the train and all of a sudden they're like, there's no signal service. So we're going to have to reroute this train. Can I tell you guys, both my kids were sleeping on each other, on me, on the train. I have all these bags. Now I have my 2 kids, their backpacks, my backpack, the grocery bag, all this shit. And I'm just like, what? Like, I'm not even going to be able to get home. So I'm stranded in Harlem. Okay, I'm stranded in Harlem. There's no other train. There's no nothing. And the guy in the MTA is like, oh, you can take this train back downtown and take the bus across the bridge. And then you can hop on this. I said, no. And then I checked Uber. It was like fucking $50 or more to get home. And I was like, and immediately my brain, like I'm waking up my kids on the train, like get up, get out. My brain is like, this day is a disaster. This day is a disaster. And I'm like, I'm about to cry, right? This day is a disaster. And I was like, Naomi, your brain is serving you something that is not a thought, that is not serving you right now, because you have both your kids. They're both not feeling well, right? And you're going to start crying right here on this platform in Harlem with all your bags and your kids. And I was like, okay, how is this day not a disaster? All right. So really fast, I caught my brain and I was like, no, because stress adds to everything, right? And the one thing I wanted to do was to regulate my nervous system and not be like a hot mess, right, with my children and all that. But even for myself, I'm like, no, I have control over this. As bad as it seems, is really not terrible. Like there's a way to work around this. So I decided that the day wasn't a disaster and everything was going to be fine. Luckily, I was able to message my husband. He was like, okay, I'm going to go get you. I'm like, look at this. I'm so fortunate. I have somebody to call who has a car. We have a car to come get us. So I'm in Harlem with my two kids. There's nothing around. What will bring me joy in that moment? I asked myself, what would bring me like true joy in this like cluster shit show of an afternoon? And I said, okay, well, I would really like to be at a cafe. So I went on Yelp because I don't know the area at all. I go on Yelp, I look for the closest cafe that's open in the afternoon, and we walked there. Now my kid started whining, my younger son, and he's like whining and crying, and he has a leg cramp and he's not feeling. And I told him, I said, you know what? Mommy's tired too. I'm upset too. And I said, we're going to make the best out of this situation while we wait for dad, because is going to take him like, I don't know, close to an hour to get to where we were, given afternoon traffic. And I was like, we can either have a good time and enjoy our time together and like get a nice treat, or I can stand here and cry with you. Because that's really what I could do right now. I can stand here and cry with you. And I think that like zapped him too, because all of a sudden he was in a better mood and he didn't want me to cry. I was like, I'm just trying to make the best out of the situation. And it was trying to teach them too, like my kids, that although things are not going your way or the way that you planned, or you have to wait or your plans get rerouted, that you can make the best out of a situation. And it's actually really good for stress management, because if we focus on everything that is not going well, like I couldn't work out, I'm not even going to be able to make dinner, I'm getting home really late, both my kids are not feeling well, I have all these damn bags that are really heavy on me, then of course I'm going to stand there and cry, right? And it's going to be super stressful. But I didn't want to feel that way. I didn't want to feel stressed out. I didn't want to start crying. So that's what we did. We walked to a cafe. I knew that they were probably going to be hungry. They had like waffles and muffins. I asked the guy what was better. He said the waffle. I said, great, give me a waffle. I got my kids drinks. One of them got an orange juice. The other one got a kombucha. I got myself a decaf latte. It was like meant to be, because this cafe was so packed, but there was one corner with a couch, and both my kids got to sit there and like rest. It wasn't uncomfortable. And it was like waiting for us. Wasn't that sweet? It was like waiting for us. And I even told the guy, I was like, we're stranded in this neighborhood. I'm just, trying to get some treats. And he's looking at me like, all right, ma'am, like, I don't know what drama you have going on, right? But I have to say, it was a very nice afternoon. Eventually, my husband came. My son is laughing at this story. And I still thought I was going to be able to make dinner, but that never happened. We went to the supermarket. I picked up stuff to make my kids, a tea. We picked up dinner eventually, and then we put everything away. Okay. And I did not make it a big deal or to mean anything that I'm having a waffle with a decaf latte because, I can't take that much caffeine, and it was already like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I need to watch my sleep too. Right. But that's the power. And I would not have been able to do this a few years ago. I would have literally had a meltdown like my 6-year-old. Okay. That is the power of practicing, of being guided, of being coached on when your brain starts acting up. Because as they said, as Sabrina Castillo said from the Dream Lab in the conference this past Saturday, your thoughts and your mind drama gets more sophisticated. And at first, you're able to tell the drama thoughts that come up to your brain because they're very obvious, right? But start like once you kind of master those thoughts or are really aware of it and have a really good handle on it, your thoughts become to get more sophisticated as to why things are not going well, why things are messed up, like all this stuff comes up that does not seem like a negative thought or a thought that's impacting you and your health and your stress levels, but they really are if you really think about them. And sometimes you don't realize that yourself. I've just been coached on it to be like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that thought was causing me stress and anxiety, right? So I really paused for a second because that's something that I want to pass down to my children. The fact that, yeah, things might not be going the way you planned them to. You might not be feeling all that great, but you get to make and choose to have or to make the best decision at that time. Or you get to choose your attitude around this situation. And it allowed me to stay super calm and chill, although your girl was tired and I'm still tired. And I was like, wow, today was such a good lesson. And sometimes we get days like this to practice what we've learned throughout all this time that we've been doing the work, because it all looks great on paper and you're journaling and you're like, yeah, I'm growing and I'm doing all this. But when you get tested, that's the real time that you get to practice what you have learned, and you get to take an intentional pause and decide how you want to react in these situations, right? All starting from like stress management, which is super important for your health. It goes hand in hand with like blood sugar stabilization, your sleep patterns, increased belly fat is called visceral fat. Your body hangs on to all that if you're stress is good for you. Don't get me wrong. Stress is really good for you, but to be consistently at an elevated level of stress where your body has a lot of cortisol consistently inside and it's not kind of completing stress cycles, because once your body senses that the stress is gone and that the danger is gone, it actually disposes of the extra cortisol in your body. Did you know that? But if you're continually sending messages to your body that you're in danger and that there's stuff going on, then that's continuously circulating in your body and your body's never able to relax. So you might be putting all this work in your nutrition and working out, but there are other levels of wellness. This is why I work on a holistic approach, which is stress management and sleep and relationships and all these other things. So today I got to practice a lot of those things because I got to do Well, that's not true. I sent out a newsletter and I drafted another one, and I was very proud of myself. But in terms of the rest of the day, I didn't really get to do what I had planned to, what I wanted to, and making it okay, pivoting my thoughts, regulating my emotions, and really choosing thoughts that serve me at that moment in relation to how I want to feel. Sometimes you have to kind of work backwards and not feed into necessarily your thoughts. But if you know you don't want to feel a certain way and you rather feel another way, like I would have rather felt peace. I would have rather felt some sort of joy. I would have rather felt some sort of comfort. So I decided to choose thoughts and take actions that would lead me to those feelings, because I did not want to be stressed out. I did not need more of that in that moment, especially when I was in charge of two other little ones, and helping them regulate, because I know that my energy really impacts their energy, and I didn't need three of us crying in the streets. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And thank you for listening to my wild story about how I got stranded in Harlem and with all my bags and my kids and everything. And I ended up eating a waffle. He's still up. Because it is super important for your wellness. And I really want to keep talking and explaining these kinds of things, because these aspects of wellness do not work in isolation. They actually work all together. And this is what's called holistic wellness, when you're working on all these aspects together. Now, don't go trying to accomplish and work on them every single piece at once, because that in itself is overwhelming. And that's what you're trying to avoid. It kind of defeats the purpose, right? All right. So thank you all for listening. If you ever need support in these areas, in holistic wellness, in learning about your nutrition, in learning how to identify your thoughts and the wild things that it serves up to you, taking care of your health, stress management, I think I already mentioned that, but building this toolbox of a lot of different tools that you can use in every single situation, where it's not cookie cutter. I really don't like that cookie cutter BS, because everybody's life is different. Your life is different from one hour to the next, like mine was today. Mom. And it's really important for you to have a tool set, okay, to grab from, especially within getting to know yourself and not relying on what other people do, because that might not serve you. So all this to say, I invite you to book a consultation, so you can learn about one-on-one food and health coaching with me and how that would look like for you, because my goal really is for our community to stay in thrive mode, to stay spreading their magic, and it's just not possible on a sustainable level, a long term, if you're not taking care of your wellness, because we all get overwhelmed and crash and, burn out. So I invite y'all. Thank y'all. What were you gonna say, my love?
I was gonna point out, she might have not had the day that she expected, but she got something better. Hanging out with her kids.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you for that. I don't think the life gets better than that, all right? Have a great day, y'all. The link is in my bio if you guys want to book a consultation. Have a good night.